what's going on, everybody? What's good? What's good? How's everybody day today? Mine was chilling. I hope yours was just as blessed. But anyway, y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know who it is. Your boy KT, man. And you back on the channel. Anyway, man, make sure y'all hit that like button, man. If you ain't subscribed, subscribe, man. You know what I'm saying? It ain't too late to give my last minute Christmas gift by subscribing to the channel, man. Make sure y'all go on and take care of that ASAP. Do you hear me? But anyway, I know you see the cameras on. I know that you see the thumbnail. And pretty much, I got a little information back from the dealership. So this will be part 2 of that video. So let's kind of jump right into it. But before I just cast off into what I heard from the dealership, let's kind of go back and touch back on what I did talk about in case you haven't watched the video or you kind of forgot and you don't really want to go back and kind of try to catch what I said. I can just give you a quick little recap. So anyway, the situation first started after I got my long tube headers and mid pipes put on. You know, got my car from shop, drove it, of course, you know, be like anybody else do, you know. Kind of ran it a few times. I didn't tune it, you know. I was actually in the process of kind of, you know how you do, racing it. Headed home, but I was kind of racing it on the way home. And that's when pretty much my transmission had an issue with shifting. So, you know, of course, I did what anybody else would do. I kind of went through my own self-diagnosis with trying to see what was wrong with the car. So I took the battery off like 3 or 4 times, like 30 minutes an hour, a whole day. And that's the negative cable by itself, both cables. And the problem came back. So that's the first thing I did. And this is not in generally the order. I'm just telling you what all I did. So yes, I took the battery off a couple times. I turned the car back to stock, so I detuned the car back to stock. That didn't work. With sending it back to stock, I also switched the PCM back to the original OEM factory PCM. That didn't work. Pretty much, you know, I checked, you know, most of the connections, you know, make sure I didn't have no loose terminals, or make sure that anything related wasn't like unplugged. Nothing was unplugged by the transmission or anything. So, you know, that didn't work. And so pretty much with doing all that, I've plugged up a scan tool to see what codes were coming on, since I did have a check engine light on. And pretty much I was getting a P1D93, P1D9E, P1D99. And if you actually go look them codes up, those codes pretty much say that the symptoms are caused by internal components that are going, you know, bad possibly. But I was also getting a U100 code. I think it's U0100 or U100. I think it's U0100. And that's pretty much lost connection with the PCM, TCM. So pretty much 2 of the computers aren't talking, and it can be because an electrical issue or possible failure of a component that's not responding to the computer. So it's just one of those issues going on. So that sucks. And you know, like I said, going through an issue with any type of electronic or component going bad, because you gotta, let me remind you, I only have 15,000 miles on the car since 2019. So anything along those of electrical to internal component, it's like 15,000 miles. Like I haven't really broke the car in yet, you know what I'm saying? It's like baby miles on that. So I mean, that's a real bummer, especially dealing with anything like that. So this is what we kind of skip along now. So with me, when I first dropped it off to the dealership, they looked at pretty much the mods I had on there, and you know, just kind of, you know how you kind of talk to people, get people's perspective of what they think will happen. especially people that's actually bought cars from dealerships that have actually took it back in the warranty work and stuff like that. I just kind of asked around just to get the feel of what type of vibe I might receive. And when I tell you, before I even dropped the car off, just asking people, it was, oh, you modded your car, they don't avoid the warranty. And I'm like, wow, just like that. I mean, but like they say, if you want to know something, make sure you get your own knowledge when you're dealing with stuff. I'm not saying that what people tell you is always incorrect. It can be right, but to a certain point or to a fault. So with doing research, I came familiar with the Magnuson-Moss, something like that. I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's the Magnuson-Moss Act. I think that's it. And pretty much, that was a law created, I believe, it was like in the 1970s. And pretty much it states that when you bring your vehicle in to be worked on by the manufacturer dealership, that whatever part goes wrong and it's under warranty, they must prove that that part was caused by whatever they're trying to say caused the part to go out. Let's say if I hooked up a stereo and then my electronics go out, me hooking up the stereo caused the electronics to go out. So it's not the dealership's job to fix it, and then they're going to get back with the manufacturer and avoid my warranty out because the stereo system messed up the electrical component of the car. You see what I'm saying? So the Magnuson-Moss Act, prevents that from happening. So they would have to actually prove that the stereo really did mess up the electrical component. Because let's say if I had another electrical component that caused my electronics to go out in the car and it wasn't the stereo, they had to try to prove and link the two up. So, I kind of studied that, and then hey, it's just like buying a car, You kind of know what you're looking for, know what you want to pay. So when you go into the dealership, you're prepared. So I kind of looked that law up and kind of, did my research on it. So what you want to know is, did I disconnect everything when I took it back to the dealership? Did I return everything back to stock? The answer is no, I did not. I actually left my long tube headers on with the mid pipes because come on, I had just bought them. Then of course I spent like $450 to install them. So that meant I had to pay another $450, return the exhaust back to stock. Then whenever whatever happens or shakes out with the car, then I want to put it back on. That's another $450. So that's over $1,000 just to install. So it's me putting them on, taking them off, put it back on. Like I just felt like that was too much. And when I actually looked at my warranty per se, I noticed that when it's dealing with the powertrain, the exhaust, which is the exhaust emissions, the powertrain as far as the engine transmission, if you pay attention to it in a way, it's all separate. So you might get a dealership to tell you that you did this so it voids out your whole warranty. It's not necessarily true unless you go with what they say and deem that it's true. So pretty much what I did was I broke my warranty down, seeing what was what. And so just to recap, I had exhaust, long tube headers with the mid pipes put on. I had a PCM swap and custom tune. I had a coder intake put on the car. So that's just pretty much the three things I kind of did. Oh, and an oil catch can, mentioned them before, but the oil catch can really doesn't have performance. So I did those 4 little mods. And so when I first dropped my car from the dealership, it took a couple of days. They, eventually they hit me up the first time when it was in there, and it's pretty much like, yeah, your warranty is probably gonna be voided because you have all these aftermarket parts put on the car. So I just kind of let them get a little spiel. So they said that, and then I was like, well, why is that? They was like, well, because you're getting O2 sensor codes, and let me cap on that. The reason I was really getting the O2 sensor codes, because if any of y'all know, I cut when you cut the catalytic converters off, because I replaced the catalytic converters with the mid pipes. So when I cut the catalytic converters off, of course, if I send the car back to stock, the computer's gonna look for the catalytic converters. They're not there, so it cut the check engine light on. But even though my car was messed up, when I had tuned it just to see if the tuner worked, my check engine light cut off until the transmission issue came about and cut the light back on. So the O2 emissions light for for the front and the rear O2 sensor was off with the tune. So as soon as I took the tune off and then sent it back to stock and then put the original PCM back in there, my computer was reading that the catalytic converters weren't there. So they was pretty much telling me, like, hey, you cut the cast off, you got the exhaust, you're getting all these codes, so that's probably gonna avoid you want to. So now, anybody else, including me, if I didn't really just know better, I probably would have been into that. But of course, the dealership is gonna throw the first answer that they think is the truth. They're just gonna just throw it out, especially because they want to see where you at too. And I'm not gonna tell you the name of the dealership right now because I want to see how this all really shakes out. Then I give you the name, because depending on how this shakes out, you might want to use them, for if you own a Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, anything like that. You might want to take your car there and chance it and see what happens. But anyway, I told them how I felt. I was like, look, okay, I understand all that, but at the same time, y'all have to prove, because like I said, I think I was dealing with a transmission issue. So I was like, well, depending on what's wrong with this transmission, because I didn't really know what was wrong with it. So I just told them, hey, in order to even talk about what my wants, you have to prove that those aftermarket parts that I have in the car was the cause or the root of the problem. So once I said that, they was kind of like, yeah, that's true, but we're gonna get with management, see what management say, then we go from there. Now, this is where the fun starts. Okay, now this is where it leads into the dealership calling me back and actually giving me an answer. So pretty much, okay, dealership called me back. Boom. So now it's I believe it's I think it was the store manager of the dealership. He called me. Boom. So he was like, we took a look at your car, and pretty much it is a transmission issue. So they confirmed it is a transmission issue. He didn't really get into detail what exactly it was, but it was something internally. It did go bad. So for all y'all who want to know, yes, my transmission went bad. Okay, so let's start with that. So then I said, okay, cool. I said, so as far as the warranty, what happens? And then he was like, just based on you having the aftermarket parts put on, and then he was like, and also looking at the car, it looked like you had a program on there. I can't really, and this is his words, I can't really say for sure, but just based on the setup and just what we kind of seen, like around the PCM, looked like a couple of scuff marks, because taking the PCM, in and out, of course, rub it up against stuff. He was like, it looked like you had a program in there. So of course, rule number one, never snitch on yourself. I just said, well, did y'all see one in there? And he was like, no, like I said, I can't prove it. And I was like, well, if you can't prove it, then, what are we talking about here? If it's not in there, it's not in there. Innocent to proven guilty, I guess. So I kind of went with that approach. He was like, yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna have to call the manufacturer, which is Dodge, and let them know what all you have on the car, and then pretty much we'll go from there. But more than likely it's gonna void your warranty. So I asked the gentleman straight up, so y'all have never dealt with cars that have aftermarket parts? So the guy was like, yeah, but yours is a different case, like they always say. So I was like, so let's say the long tube headers wasn't even on there. I asked him, so does something as simple as a cold air intake void the warranty? The guy was like, yes. And I'm like, like wow, like that. Like cold air intake really doesn't do anything, but it lowers your charged air intake. You know what I'm saying, for better combustion. If you wanna, I'm just thinking this mentally. Like it's not really that serious. And I just kind of told him like, it doesn't really do much. I mean, it does affect the car to a small extent, but it's not like a major issue that's gonna just throw your whole warranty out the window. He was like, yeah, since it's an aftermarket part. So, he kept on with the aftermarket talk. So I said, cool. I said, so you're finna call the manufacturer, right? He said, yes. So I was like, well, since you're gonna call them, let me get the number because I want to call them myself too. You know what I'm saying? Because I think, of course, it's a $40,000 vehicle, and I'm still paying for it. So of course, I want to be able to tell my side of the story, because one thing I do notice is if you just leave stuff in other people's hands, they handle it the way that they want to handle it. So I was like, no, give me the number because I want to be able to tell my side of the story too. So he gave me the number. So check. He gave me the number, so I called. Okay. So boom, I called the manufacturer, and then it was a nice lady that answered the call, and she was professional. I forgot what her name was, but she did handle the call professionally. So boom, she answered, we talked, and then pretty much, she just asked me, so what all do you have in the vehicle? So I just kind of told her, like, look, I have this, that, just like I told her, the cold air intake, I had the long tube headers. Of course, I didn't say it too. I'm not gonna say that. I just told her I had the cold air intake, long tube headers, and I did cut the cats off. I said, but, ma'am, I brought it up again due to the Magnuson-Moss Act. I do notice that the emissions and the transmission is two different things. So this is the manufacturer now. So I asked her, I said, am I right or am I wrong? And she said, you're right. I said, okay, well, the dealership I have it at is telling me that my warranty most likely is going to be voided because pretty much of the codes that they was getting pretty much off the emission side because of my cats being gone. And I'm like, the emission has nothing to do with the transmission, if that's, which was the case, because I had found out by then. I'm like, so they're trying to avoid my warranty, saying that my exhaust system is faulting my transmission, but they have nothing in common. So instead of just siding with the dealership, she was like, okay, well, I tell you what, let me call the dealership before I can approve anything so I can get both sides of the story, and we're gonna see what we can do. Okay? So now, after a couple hours went by, boom, she called me back, and pretty much this is where things get kind of funny at. So pretty much when she called me back, she was like, hey, Mr. Walker, pretty much I called the dealership, and pretty much the dealership was trying to make it seem like my warranty wasn't going to be voided. They was kind of playing like they didn't know what she was talking about or what I was talking about. So I'm like, okay. And she was pretty much like, yeah, the dealership isn't giving me a straight up answer. They kind of beating around the bush. They just said that your warranty wasn't voided. They kind of act like they don't know what's wrong with the car. And I'm like, man, they just told me I had a transmission problem, but my exhaust was going to void it. And so she was like, okay, let me click over and call them and talk to them some more. So they're going back and forth. Then boom, she calls me back. She's like, you know what? I talked to him, so you're going to be receiving a phone call from the dealership. I said, okay. She didn't really give me the detail what they talked about, so she was like, just talk to the dealership, if you have any more issues, give us a call back. So I was like, okay. So then that transpired. So maybe, I want to say 30, 45 minutes after that phone call, I get the phone call from the dealership. So I answered the phone. It was the manager from the store again at the Dodge dealer. So after talking, he was like, after going over everything, I do apologize, for all the back and forth confusion. But what we're gonna do is, and these are for the ones if y'all listening, that he said, due to looking at everything, what we're gonna do is, one time, we're gonna replace your transmission for free. We're gonna, put on the warranty and replace it. So, and that's why I asked him, would my warranty and total be voided? Because y'all kind of know what's on my car now. He said no, because you're not coming in for anything else but the transmission issue. So, pretty much, he said for the one time, because we talked to the manufacturer and just kind of told them what we've seen, and they talked to us, and we came up on and determined that we're gonna replace the transmission one time. So if I so-called mess the transmission up again, they're probably gonna make me pay for it out of pocket, or maybe half of it. I don't know. He didn't really say. He just said for the one time they're just gonna replace the transmission, wash the hands with it, sweep it under the rug, done deal. So yeah, I'm glad for that answer. That's a positive answer that I did want to hear, because he did tell me if I would pay for the transmission out of pocket, it's gonna be like $7,000. Which in turn, I think that's why he kind of threw out in the beginning before I called the manufacturer that, yeah, it's probably gonna void your warranty. I thought that I was thinking maybe after everything kind of transpired, I was thinking maybe he said that to kind of bait me into paying the money. He probably thought I was a gopher and just gonna cough off the money and didn't think too much about it because I wanted my car back. Like, yeah, okay, I'll pay it. But since I actually went through the chain of command and was patient, did a little research before I got on the phone, because I didn't want to sound like an idiot just blurring stuff out, I think that helped a lot. So, message to y'all: if y'all dealing with any type of manufacturer's work, or taking your car to the dealership, then the manufacturer had to step in and try to pay for it through the warranty, make sure you get familiar with the Madison-Moss Act. That's one thing that's going to help you, especially if you understand it. And pretty much all it's saying is, when the manufacturer has to pay for the warranty work on the car for the dealership to do, that, the dealership has to prove and let the manufacturer know that the reason that part went out is because of XYZ. And as long as it's not XYZ, you're good. Meaning that long as you didn't do anything, or you took it to a shop and they did anything to cause the issue, then you're good. But if you cause the issue, it will void your warranty. So I'm letting you know that now. So if you have any like cold air intake, headers, anything around performance, I'm not sure how it would have went if I had that tune on. So I'm not gonna stick my neck out and say, even if you leave the tune on, I'm not gonna say that, because that's a hard pill to swallow, and I don't want nobody taking their car to a dealership with excuse me, with a tune and say, oh, KT, he said he did it, so I'm gonna do it. No, I didn't say. I said I took my tune off and put my PCM back in. So I can't answer that. But what I can say is, if you know a little bit about what you're talking about, then you don't have to strip your car all the way back down to factory, because like I said, especially when dealing with headers and cold air intake, that can, like the cold air intake, you can probably do it yourself. But let's say for some of y'all who change out these parts and discard of your original parts, your factory parts, then you can't just do that. You have to take the chance and just take it in there. That's a little bit of the reason, because I do have all of my parts that are factory, but I did want to take the car in there with a few modifications so I can be able to tell this story too. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to just send it back to stock and then I didn't really have to. Because like I said, putting the headers back to stock would have cost me money. You know what I'm saying? So I did kind of do it too, just to get an idea of what the dealership will bend for and what they won't bend for. You know what I'm saying? What they willing to kind of let go, but what they won't. But you know, they gave me just a ounce of a little issue, making it seem like my warranty was gonna be void. But like I said, once I called the manufacturer, I let them know, and then they had to get into the way of proving it. They couldn't prove it. But you know, then too, I'm not gonna lie, like the service guy I was dealing with and the store manager, you know, they weren't really like I could say out of control or just abrupt about, you know, me having the miles on there. They was just, I guess, going by policy. But you know, it's all about building a relationship with who you talk to. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes a conversation that can go halfway decent can sometimes help you out in any situation. So once again, they're gonna replace my transmission under warranty, so I don't have to worry about that. Like I said, I did leave the cold air intake on. I did leave I did leave the long tube headers with the mid pipes with the O2 sensors plugged up in it, so I have no cats on the car. So I have all that going on, and it's in the dealership right now. Like I said, I will disclose the dealership information after, you know, my car gets put back together and everything gets straightened out. I might actually make the third video at the dealership, me getting my car back. So yeah, I can see it kind of, you know, live action, at least me pulling up to the dealership live and actually getting my car back. So I also do have some of my tune stuff here. Let's check it out. See, just to show y'all, this is the Intune 3. I probably have it upside down. The Intune 3 right here. Let's see. I don't know how it's open. Let me see. Empty plastic. But that's the programming stuff right there. Then I got the little wires off in here. Pretty much. This is the tool that you pop the little rivets out right there under the hood in the corner where the PCM go. This is my spare PCM. This is the one that's already tuned. Well, it's stock now, but this is the one that the tune is written on and the instructions up under there. So pretty much, once I get my car back from the dealership, I'm gonna put this modified PCM back in the car, tune it to the headers, and we're gonna see what we have. Alright, you guys, so I mean, I hope this video really helps somebody out that's kind of in a similar situation like I'm in as far as dealing with the dealership. Don't feel too pressured, you know, just kind of call around and just kind of see who you have a good feeling with and just kind of contact them, you know, kind of tell them your story, ask a couple questions, and you know, kind of go from there. But you know, it doesn't really get gritty until you have to deal with the dealer versus the manufacturer. That's where things kind of get tricky. But like I said, if you keep that ace in the back pocket, because they're not going to tell you about that law. That's just something you have to kind of know, unless they, you know somebody at the dealership that you cool with that'll let you know. So get familiar with the Madison-Moss Act, you know what I'm saying, because then the dealer will have to prove, like I say, to the manufacturer that the issue was caused by something you did or a shop did that caused the issue. As long as it's normal wear and tear, or they just can't outright prove it, then they have to cover it under warranty, unless you have some modified part or something that caused the issue. But luckily, the exhaust has nothing to do with the transmission, so they're gonna just let it be. And you know, hey, I love it. I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to come out $7,000 for a transmission because I sure don't want to. But anyway, that's gonna conclude part 2 of this video. You know what I'm saying? And when I get the car out, we're gonna do part 3, and of course we're gonna finish up the do part 2 of the exhaust video, because I still haven't did that one yet. I know y'all itching to hear the exhaust on the Challenger. I've heard it, one of my friends have actually heard it, and man, it sounds like a whole nother animal. It really does, you know what I'm saying? Doing the resonator and or the muffler, mid-muffler delete, yeah, that's cool, whatever. You put that stainless steel piping under that thing, you take them factory OEM stock manifold out and put them long tubes on there, man, that car's on a whole nother level. But hey, make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment. That's gonna do it for this one right here. Y'all already know it's your boy KT, man. We the mob, we the family, you know what I'm saying? Storm392 gang, MMK gang. Hey, don't up that M for that Mopar. Hey, see y'all in the next one.